All right, going. Let's see. Do we got sound? Looks like we got sound in OBS. I'm gonna tweak this just a bit. And turn off the. Oh. Okay. I am basically still working on same stuff from the last couple of streams, but I have figured out, I think, how to debug this on the ESP. So, quick like catch up, I guess, basically. Let's preview. For anybody that didn't catch the previous ones, I am working on some changes in display IO. One of the changes is setting the display to null. It was causing a hard fault. We're trying to debug the hard fault. Yesterday, I made an attempt with the Metro M4 to do it with the JLink debugger. We ran into a different hard fault, so we found something else that needs to be debugged. To look further into that at some point, I do want to try to narrow down and make a more minimal reproducer of that. But I also wanted to look back into the original thing inside display.io with setting the display to null. And I was looking into how to use the debug pin. This feather has a debug pin. Let's go here, maybe. Feather has a debug pin right here, DBG. I was trying to figure out how to use that, and it turns out it's actually really easy to use that. I have this thing, which is this long cable that it's wrapped around here, round and around and around. This goes to a USB plug, which is plugged in. This is a FTDI cable thing. It's a SparkFun one in particular, but I think Adafruit makes the same kind of device, be it a breakout or a cable. I think there's a couple of different varieties of these. They come in different voltages and different things. I don't know everything about them, but the gist of it is that it's a USB cable that lets you talk to serial stuff. And in our case, that debug pin happens to be serial stuff. It's actually just a serial connection putting off some text, some data about the microcontroller. Turns out we can just connect ground. We can connect the debug pin from our feather, which I have a feather tripler here, so this is connected to this pin on the feather. Connect that to the receive pin on this USB thing, and then we go and have TO connected to the device that appears when you plug this in, and it will just put stuff in here. So my hope is that we can cause the hard fault, the original one we were looking for, and that it will put something in here that's relevant or helpful in debugging it or fixing it. That's where I'm at. We're gonna go first, and we need to probably make a build. My guess, well, what is even on CodePy here? Actually, no idea what's on this one. So right now we do actually have. Is this really CodePy? We are setting to none. We are not crashing. I'm gonna connect here maybe. It's not raising an exception before. It did go set group null. We do have time sleep, so it did set group null at this point. But right now we're on the version that doesn't crash, but also doesn't work, doesn't function. The goal here being that if you were to set root group to none like this, the display should go blank. It should show nothing, because none is nothing. Root group is the group that is showing on the display, so if you set that to nothing, the display should show nothing. So that's what we're trying to do. It's obviously not working because we still see this, although it's better than it was because it's not crashing. Although it's arguable whether it's actually better than it was because it's not working, and we commented out some of the parts that we're trying to make it work. Need to uncomment that stuff. Gonna hard fault, and then we're gonna hopefully learn about the hard fault on the debug in. First thing is, though, we're not even in the right branch. So let's go to, I guess this would be the none stuff branch. The last place I put stuff here. And we're going to need to figure out what was the last thing we disabled that basically made it so it was not crashing. It was also not working. What was that? I do remember we disabled something, and this stopped it from crashing. So I was checking is null in here. We're gonna ultimately not need any of this stuff. This was all part of my debugging, though. I was trying to figure out what the value of these things were. We made headway on that last time. Figured out there was a different place calling the function. Display here. We actually disable though. Fresh display. Get refresh areas. Might need to look inside there and see if it's checking for null correctly. There's lots of places that do check for null, so my guess is that there's only just some small place where it's not checking for null, and that is what's making our initial hard fault. We're gonna have to figure out how to get back to it though. There is set root group inside of here, so right now we're just doing set everything to null. Set one point we had return in here. I almost wonder if the build that's on the device is maybe one that did have the return inside of here. I think that's what stopped it from hard faulting. So we're going to make a build here and see how it behaves. I want to make tab completion for these. If you're typing make board equals, you could tab complete the name here. Do a clean. We're doing other stuff with debug. Oh, do we need to have debug 1? We might need to have debug 1 actually. Well, maybe this will be a good test. So this printed stuff in here, I'm pretty sure that I did have debug 1, like a debug build, was the last thing that I installed. I thought it was on main though. I mean, clearly I don't know what the last thing I installed was. We're gonna install something here and then we won't have to wonder. I'll go bootloader, which is reset twice. Very tiny reset. Oh, missed it. Okay, too fast. Better. This is rebooting, reconnecting. We did still get a bunch of stuff in here. So it is still putting some stuff at least on the debug pin. Okay. Okay. What are we seeing? Oh, okay, we did get to the hard crash now. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, we must have been on one. We must have been on a build that was returning, because I think I returned from there, and that helped us. That made it not hard fault. So here we got inside set root group null, which is this. We did not do any of the rest of this stuff. This would not have been true because root group would have been null. Current group would have been serial out, CircuitPython splash, basically. Nope, root group was null, so this is not true. This is also not true because the current group is the splash. We haven't changed to the new group yet. This is not true. We don't go in there. This is not true. Root group is null. Current group equals root group. We'll refresh true. Yeah. We did all of this, and then somewhere after this, we hard faulted because of current group being null, I think. My hypothesis. So we did hard fault, but we didn't really get any kind of like... Yeah, this is stack trace. I don't necessarily know what all I'm looking at here either. I think a lot of this stuff comes when it boots up, right? This stuff is all when it boots up. Boot, boot, boot. None of this, I think, actually printed when it hard faulted. So how do we get extra output? I feel like this is where it's going to be. Maybe we do need debug 1. I will make a debug 1. Let's do that. It was... too fast? Happened. Forming build stub? Happened. String build. CD. Twitter binary size. Just stopped. I don't know. We'll do clean first, I guess. Bug equals 1. Weird. I don't know. Back to bootloader. At some point I want to pull this into one or the other IDE. Somewhere we got a little crazy with tabs or something here. Trying to see when stuff's happening here. Oh yeah, we got a lot of different stuff this time. Got a lot more stuff. Yeah. Got a backtrace with hex stuff in it. Elf file. What do we do with this? Hold on. There's a Python script that parses this. Is that for RP2040? Such a faint memory. Know for sure if this thing is real. I think there might be a Python script that basically takes this and gives you back something a little bit more legible. don't know. And tools would make sense. Analyze heap dump. Release notes. Direct YI. Fix up. Parse? Is there P for part? Process, print, pyboard, pydfu. Manifest. Are we ever gonna find this or confirm its existence? Let's look in the README in the expressive port, because I guess this is an expressive thing. Maybe we should be looking in the ESP-IDF? I feel like I used this once on the hack tablet, I think is where I used it. They're like, trace anything? Trace? Parse? No. Okay. Tools? Maybe there's tools in here. Decode backtrace. Yes. On 3. Oh. We just got like USB dingling bell sound, I think. No, what? Python device? It's connected? Like the CircuitPython device disconnected. You know, why don't I copy this before we lose it somehow weirdly? I'll just put it here for now. Don't want to add it. Paste it. Oh, it's one line. Interesting. Okay. How do we use this? Let's see. Run with backtrace line at the question mark prompt. Board. What would we put for board? Board. Board. Why is print doesn't know about Python? Does it know about while and true? I guess those are C constructs as well, I suppose. Can we make it know about Python? Nice if it did know about Python. Board. I have no idea. I guess would it just be board, the same board that we built? Same board that we built? There. This was in ports expressive. We'll go on code. Okay, we definitely need to put a board. Gotta have a nice time and drive nicely. This. Lines in here. Ah. Copy this. Get this stuff back through that cable. That cable. Yeah. Okay. Now we have more English. So, yeah, okay. So we can fill area. I was thinking probably that's somewhere in there, right? Somewhere it's not checking for null is my hypothesis. So let's kind of start looking here. Maybe fill area. I don't. Do we get line numbers? We do supposedly get line numbers. 374. Wait, that seems too good to be true, though, right? Do we really get all of that? How does it get that from that hex number, though? That's so weird. Huh. Just points to a line number? Why does a hex number point to a line number? Every line number has a number? Well, group 374, that's in shared module. Back to display mode for now. '74 it said. Fill area. So like core fill area, refresh display. So I mean, somewhere this was null. Do we really need to? Do we need to be in here? So I guess in this case, self. Self was null. We got to here and self was null, and that's why we crashed. I think, right? I think so. Can I use that is null thing? I don't even know where that thing was. Is null, not here. Okay, it was in display maybe? Are there any changes in here? No. And we can just copy it now. It's not a thing that's going to stay in the code anyway. Say is null self. We're going to say this one is self is null. Self is not null. But I think this will print self is null. Making it shouty, make it better. Do it anyway. So I think hopefully right before our hard fault. I mean, my guess is that we hard fault right here, right? If self was null, this I think is the hard fault. So we could have another check in here. I suspect, though, probably what we want is more like somewhere back here. Somewhere in one of these really is probably where we want the other null check. We probably just don't even want to call fill area if self was null, right? We don't have an object, so. But this will tell us. I think this hopefully tells us if that theory correct. How do I get out of this? Oh, is there more to this? Question mark. I guess I could paste another one for now. Maybe we'll open that in a different terminal. I want to make a new build with our stuff. No prototype, no previous prototype. I have to add that to here as well. Like it. really root group, but that's all right. Take my hoodie off at some point before too long. Nope. Can't have two is nulls. Okay. Well, okay. Do this, I guess, the slightly more correct way then. Can we should be able to import it? Is that? Well, first let's find out what happens if I just call it without importing it or anything. I think we should be able to import it from display. Implicit declaration. Yeah. Don't have is null. Include, say, include shared module play play. Give us our is null. Okay. All this stuff is gonna just crash again. Do we want to move this, or do we want to just keep it for now? Backtrace go. Let's back there. Okay. Must have just started a few times, or I don't know. Or it printed this stuff after? I don't know what all that stuff is. Question is, do we want to move this though? Honestly, it's kind of nice being in its own window so I can alt tab to it. Actually, yeah, I think I'll just leave it here for now. Copy this, we're in bootloader. Copy this. It will reboot, it will run its CodePy. Its CodePy, I think, will cause it to crash. But we will see it print inside of here, hopefully. The message about self being null. Oh, wow. I guess, well, okay, because it's calling it for every group. So it doesn't have new lines. Oh, it did disconnect. We probably got that thing where the hard fault didn't, like, it's being weird after the hard fault. We did the last one of these though was is null. Oh yeah, we don't have new line on this one. Not null. We did get root group, and it does say root group here. So yeah. Yeah, a little bit more confusing output than I was aiming for, but I think this does tell us that hypothesis is true. The last time we came in here, this was null. Last time we came in here, this print right here led to this saying is null. And then my next assumption is right when we try to access hidden right here, it crashes. So we need to basically, we need to either be checking right here, like if self is null, then don't do any of this stuff. That could work. Or we need to be somewhere in here checking essentially the same thing. I feel like it should be probably on the display to be checking it, because if the group is none, then it shouldn't be responsible for checking itself to see if it's none. Like, it should just be none. It doesn't exist even enough to check whether or not it exists. It just doesn't exist, I think. That's probably how it should be. So we'll look in here, display core, that's 369 in fill area. Which just calls group fill area. So, oh, there's our disconnect jingle. So I think, yeah, I do think we're in that weird state where the hard fault made it a bit weird. And then we have our backtrace again. I could put this back into the thing if we wanted, but it's presumably going to point to the same stuff. Maybe slightly different line numbers since we move stuff around, but so this is taking a display core, a display area, and then it's just calling, okay, it's calling fill area with current group. Current group, which is what is null. So we probably should just be checking here, I think, right? But what do we return? Do we just return false? Return true? We want if self. Can I do I don't know if that's like legal code. Can you do this arrow lookup thing and then compare? Oh, we didn't return. Yeah. False. What are we actually returning here? This returns false at the end. If it would have made it all the way through, then this would have returned false, so seems reasonable. Thing crashes fast. Good sign. Got to build. Okay, go to bootloader. I'll be back in just a second. Okay. Oh, I think it might have worked. I think it might have worked. So it had a bunch of stuff on it. I saw that stuff. That's a bunch of these things, which makes sense. Root group not null. These are because we added that is null. We could take that back out. It wouldn't spam so much, but there were a lot of things showing the icon, the status bar, all that stuff. Basically, this would have called our is null on all that stuff. It printed out not null because none of that stuff was null. We did not ever see one that says root group is null because now we no longer got inside there when it was null. We cut it off before that by checking here, which does seem to have worked, and returning false. And now it is just showing nothing, which is perfect. That's what we want it to do. So the only other questions are like, I don't know, the only other questions, I suppose there are probably questions that I haven't fathomed yet, but what the next question, let's put it that way. The next question is, does it go back to behaving normally if we just put other stuff back on it? So let's say we wait another 3 seconds and go, so we're creating a label. We're creating a main group. Not actually doing anything with the main group or the label in code that's not commented out. There's some code that's commented out. I was putting it as main group here. Well, why don't we go, let's go main group, whoa, in group append the label, and then down here, after we've done all this, let's go for.Jowdy display root group equals in group. So we should be showing the terminal when the thing runs. Eventually we wait here for 3 seconds while we're still showing the terminal, or the serial output, you know, CircuitPython terminal, we're still showing that. We go to none, we wait on none for 3 seconds, we should have a dark screen, and then ideally we go to showing our label, which just says hello world, which in the current version we never actually did show to begin with, but it got generated. I think in an old version we were showing it. So let's see if we do all of that. Our terminal is good. We got all of our spam still. We got our blank. 3 more seconds. Nice. We go back to that, and then for completeness sake, let's go sleep another 3 seconds, and then let's go board display root group equals, we'll do this. I should have just copied this. I didn't copy this. Set it back to the terminal. We should make the full circle. Terminal, blank, our own group, back to terminal. Cool. Awesome. Now, boy, we need to delete all the stuff that's not necessary, which is actually kind of a lot. It took me a while to figure this stuff out, what was happening here. So definitely for sure we don't need is null. Let's start there. Want to make a build without that? It's worth checking each thing. I don't know why, but it's good just to be safe. This should cut down the spam quite a bit. Okay, yep, terminal has way less spam this time. There's our none. There's our custom group. Back to terminal. And in here, we don't have nearly as much spam. We do still have this one. Go get rid of that. Or that's going to be play and display, I guess. At some point, maybe we want to compare back to main. So you have a lot of stuff in here. We don't need any of this. We don't need this. Question is, are we going to want any of this? Not sure if we will or not. Where are we at here? We're in the make new constructor. Display construct. It's like when the display gets created. But it used to do some stuff here that seemed important, right? Like display show CircuitPython splash. Seems important for showing the terminal when the device first boots up. Somehow this happens anyway, though. I guess it's calling reset. Maybe we should be doing... One thing I wonder is, we used to have... Here, we used to have some stuff like setting the XY. This was setting CircuitPython splash in group. I don't know if we are... I don't know if we're needing to be micromanaging this by setting it to true and false when appropriate. If we are needing to do that, I don't think we are doing that, so that's one thing to fix still. And I guess we would... actually, this... Yeah, actually, this would be doing it for us now. Because now CircuitPython Splash is not really special in the sense of, like... the in-group that used to be happening here will basically... between this line and this line will be getting done correctly in each scenario. We did have X and Y here, and we had supervisor start terminal, which does also seem pretty important when you read the name of it, but commented it out, and we do still get the terminal on the screen, and everything seems to still work. Our difference in here? Should we actually have a difference in here? I thought we went to... we went up the chain to add our if statement. Oh, the includes. Yeah. Okay. Rid of that. We don't need that. There we go. Now we're back to unchanged in that file. Oh. Somewhere there's a reset play which does call show flash. I'm wondering here. I'm wondering if this is probably the place where we would want to do this and guess this. Still unclear because it's unclear to me if we would need this because it got taken out and it still works. Still shows the terminal. It does feel like when you call reset display though, we should probably be doing this. Ooh, are we going to be able to access it? Set the position in case someone moved it. I guess we'll do this. We definitely are going to want to make a build here and see if that could very possibly just wreck stuff. Has no height. Oh, we're inside display though, right? Should we? Display object, why would we not have a height? Display core has a height? Why would we not have a height? Oh, self arrow core dot height. That will be the same. Okay. Takes longer to copy it than it does to build it sometimes. That was our full cycle, wasn't it? I wasn't paying very close attention though. I saw none, and I see back. See, we're now back to terminal. Make sure REPL works. Definitely don't want to be breaking that. Back to this. We're on terminal, but we created a group. We go to none. We show the group we created. We go back to terminal. Stay there. Does seem okay. I don't know where. I don't know if does the user level API have reset display? Actually, no. "19 matches. Reset pins." There's reset the function. Hardware reset via the reset pin. That's a different thing? I think that's a different thing, isn't it? Reset display? Different thing. Not have reset display. It's on 4-wire. An I2C display. Two. Those are the only two it's on. So it's not on display, but I guess display would be using 4-wire, so. Yeah, no. It might be like internally called only, I'm not sure. Set display. So that's definitions, and then it's called in shared module display IO init. That's a definition as well, actually, it looks like. Actually, that looks like a definition too. Set displays. Let's look inside here. I could click this. Display IO init C, this is in shared module. Another definition. Is it just on display IO? Is there like display IO dot reset displays? Show functions. Let's show functions because there's release displays. But there is not set displays. Like, I mean, this is shared module, I guess, so it's a concept in shared module, but not in shared bindings means that it doesn't have Python, doesn't have a Python API. Calls this though. Set display. This is displays with an S. And this is just reset display. And I searched for display with no S, but it did return the ones with the S. It looks like main, which I didn't notice before, but main is the only other place. Main C 308. I never really looked in main C. like the main loop, I think. What did I say? 308. IO. Set displays. Turn off the display and flush the file system before the heap disappears. If we can figure out kind of like where we're at in the code here, what's happening. Clean up after VM. Okay. And actually inside reset displays where it has the for loop, which is calling reset display. Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems like the right time to reset the position and stuff. It is interesting. I mean, cleanup after VM, is that cleanup after VM? I mean, if it's actually after the VM is shutting down, do we really want to restart the terminal? Really, no. But I mean, I think it would have been previously anyway, like. I think previously it was just passing null, and then therefore it was setting it to splash, and because it was null, it was also doing this stuff, so. Yeah. It was doing it either way. Get rid of this stuff. We don't need our print here. In group. So in group, I think is getting covered by these now. So do we need the comment, I suppose, is question? I mean, you could say we don't even need this if statement, truthfully. We're not going to be doing anything inside of it anymore. I think we take the comment out. I don't know about the note, I guess. The note, this strikes me as maybe we should keep it, but I don't really know what that means. Cause problems with the parent group. Parent of the splash? Sure, what problems it's talking about. And I guess we could put it down here, but the thing is now down here, this is like occurring to every group, not just the CircuitPython splash anymore. It will occur to the CircuitPython splash when that's the group that gets passed into here, but it also applies to everything else. We get rid of that. And then I guess we get rid of the whole thing? Do we leave a comment that says if it's null, show nothing? Do we leave an if statement with a comment inside of it that says show nothing? I don't know. That's worth it or not? Make a build here. I've deleted a bunch of stuff. Okay, we've created our group, but we're showing the terminal. Now we're showing nothing. Now we're showing the group that we created. Now we're showing back to the terminal. Our stuff's still working. So I think what we do is, well, do we have any more weird prints? First of all, connected. Get any prints this time? Like this. REPL's all good. We're still seeing the REPL on the display. Seeing the stuff get printed. Rerun it. Code output. Don't really see too much. I will add a print. I don't know. Just let's double check here. If we go like print making table so that we could see that there before it goes to show nothing. And it goes to our label inside of its group, and then it goes back to the terminal, which is still showing the last thing it printed, which was making label. And yeah, I don't think we need to do the in-group stuff here. You could say maybe this should be using set root group. Can I just change that? Okay. Set again. Group. Terminal. Okay. And there. What else do we need to do? I mean, get all the prints. Get all the prints, hopefully. I think it'll be easier to look over the rest of our changes maybe if we go ahead and commit this into its own branch, merge this branch over to the branch that the PR is on, run pre-commit, and then push that to update the PR. Then the PR will have the like edited files page, which will show all of the actually changed code. That'll make it easier to tell if we still have any weird prints that we want to get rid of. Oh, right, I turned off microlab in both of these. I guess we don't want to commit that. I should have just unchecked it maybe though, because I almost want to keep it that way because I need on the ESP. Nope. Lost that coin flip. That's the Metro. Yeah, I guess we'll just revert it. Go back and do it again if I need it. Alright, so we got rid of a lot of that, including our print. Got rid of our print. Oh, we still have a lot of commented out stuff here. Let's go clean this up more. Inside display. Third module. Where is it? In the director. I don't know who shows the... I don't know how the terminal gets shown the first time. It occurs to me we don't... This is commented out here. So because of what we found... today, but that wasn't that display, and then we chased that back, and the only place it was called was here, which is in cleanup VM. Guess maybe cleanup VM gets called before it starts also. Cleanup VM. Weird that we'd be starting the terminal during the cleanup. Cleanup feels like something you do after you're done with everything. I wonder if maybe we don't have that in the right spot. We won't need isNull anymore. I'm surprised. I don't know how the terminal gets shown the first time. But I'm thinking through and seeing the comments and stuff. I wonder if we want to keep this? I mean, we're not setting the group here anymore. I guess we could. The current one. It is calling show CircuitPython splash. Doesn't seem necessary though. I suppose the question is, does it break anything? Messed up you by turning ULab back on, which doesn't fit with the debug one. That's what I found yesterday. Put this back. And then next time I will... Did this have an empty line? I don't know. Next time I'll just uncheck it in the commit thing so it won't... I'll get to keep it in my local one, but it won't get committed. That way I can keep making debugs builds, but we're not actually changing that file for real in the PR. Where'd the camera go? Is it this one? Run through its whole list here. Custom. No, okay. But it doesn't break anything? Doesn't seem necessary either, because even when we didn't have it, it's all still working. Be inside core construct? Let's call start terminal here. Maybe start terminal sets. Start terminal sets it. Or this, I guess, is inside supervisor. Making a tile grid. Status bar, one for the scroll area. Scale. Size of the tiles. Total tiles. Mention, reuse previous allocation. REPL logo. Status bar stuff. Scroll area stuff. Terminal construct. Slash.scale equals scale. No, doesn't set itself. Oh. This could be set root group now, though, I think. Terminal, nothing. Custom. Back to terminal. Oh. They're not getting inside there? Getting inside there. Further up somewhere where we added the check, fill area, I guess. Maybe stopping it from getting to here. That's a should be a non-functional change, but go ahead and make the build. Then I'm thinking we're pretty close. I'm gonna commit here, merge over to the other one, run pre-commit, and then commit and push, and that will update the PR. And then we can look at our diff changes on there, the red, green, to see what else left in, if I left anything else in that's not relevant or desirable to have. Terminal, nothing. Custom group. Back to terminal. And I'll just uncheck this. Our diff here again. Fill area is where we stop it from getting inside there with null one now. Okay. Our current change includes all this. This is not our change like overall, but add our definition of that, get our if statement in there. Is it for this file, or is there one more down there? One's a to do, one more down there. Okay, which we moved into reset display. We made it use set root group instead of show, and we added the /x and y in the start terminal. I also don't think it's necessary to have that here, but part of the code before. Roughly the same place, just on the other side. We're going to say check for null infill area, which is kind of the root of what fixed the hard fault. And I suppose we also moved start terminal reset display. Let's go into foamy guy set root group none stuff. Then gonna go to set root group here. Why does this start me so far down the list every time? Merge this. I could commit here. Commit here, but we could also run pre-commit first. Did fix some stuff, so that's nice. Although one of the things we fixed was this mp config, which we're not going to commit anyway. Probably did want a blank line, I guess, at the end. Yeah. Passing pre-commit. We then are gonna commit, and actually, yeah, the only change pre-commit made was actually to our config, which we are not gonna commit. I would uncheck that, but we don't have any other changes. Therefore, what I can actually do is just push the commits that are already made rather than making a new commit. We don't actually need a new commit because we're not changing anything that's relevant that we're actually want to push. So push the commits we have, which are the ones that came from the merge. That should update the PR, which means we should be able to look at our diff very easily. This was a branch I was working on, but is not going to go anywhere, basically. It's not going to become a PR itself. So let's get a look at everything here. So this is the set root group definition inside bindings, so that we actually have a new Python API. This is also part of that. Inside ePaperDisplay, okay, so ePaperDisplay actually did not used to have a get root group, unlike the other two types of displays. The other two types of displays did have a get root group, so we only added a set root group to the other two, but ePaper we actually added both. The get root group, which didn't exist before, and then the set root group, well, didn't exist before on ePaper, but did on the others. We added it now, and then set root group, which is what we added to all of them. So now ePaper is the same as the others. It has both a get and a set root group. We had to probably just import this in order to get Splash. Inside frame buffer display, we implemented set root group, and like I said before, it would have already had a get root group. So that one already existed, but we created set root group, and then we changed it here so that both would be inside the Python API. We may not need the empty line. May not need the empty line. I don't know if it matters too much, but basically here we just change show to be root group instead. So try to reuse where we can, like try to use the new function even internally. So like, technically this wouldn't matter for the actual Python API. This is inside shared module, but try to use the new one. That way it's apparent from reading the code that this is kind of the suggested one to use. Same thing here, just using set root group instead of show. Here's the definition of set root group, and this is inside of display C. And it just basically calls core set root group, raises an exception if it was already used, returns none. This is what we have now added to reset displays. That's setting the X and Y of the terminal group, starting terminal, and then setting the terminal, the CircuitPython splash, as the thing that's showing. Oh, we don't want that. Okay, yeah, good thing we looked through here. I gotta run to the restroom real fast though, so I'm gonna do that and then come back and we'll clean up a few more of these things here and make a new commit. Okay. That is in display H. Have that in group? Well, we ended up not making it in group. It did take the include back out. Okay. No more as nulls. Let's take out the extra line, which was in construct of display. And let's keep looking here to see if there's anything else we want to change. Used to be calling show, now we're calling set root group. Definition for set root group, which just calls core set root group. Definition for get root group, because this is in ePaper display, which is the one that was previously lacking the get root group. So we have that definition as well now. Display core show has been renamed to set root group. So this is inside display core, which this is only used internally. This is not used as part of the Python API. Therefore, this has been renamed now. What used to be called show is now set root group. There is no longer a show inside display core. In the Python API, show will continue existing until the next major release. It will be kind of deprecated now, but still exist. But then next major release, if all goes according to plan, in the Python API, show will be removed. But again, since this is internal only, it's being removed now for here. We used to have all this stuff that we did, like in-group, XY, start terminal, set the root group. All that stuff used to happen. Now we just do nothing. So you could say maybe we don't even want the if statement anymore. I'm not sure. We'll see from reviews and stuff, but possibly we wouldn't even want that. Save a little bit of code if nothing else, I suppose. Inside fill area, we now check current group for null. That way we don't hard fault if it was null. And this was a check that was pretty much done in a bunch of places already. Just turns out that it was not done here. And I do think it makes sense to do it here rather than inside of here, because inside of here, it's self. Like, self is none. If self is none, then we just shouldn't be calling fill area on an object that's none. So we should just say, if it's none here, then we're not even going to call fill area on it. It doesn't exist. We know it's not going to do anything because it doesn't exist. We don't need to bother going inside there and then checking if it doesn't exist. Then we just return false, which is what happens already inside of here if other stuff goes wrong, essentially, or whatever, right? I think returning false from here is just indicating that it didn't complete. Yeah, inside core, yeah, show is no more, and now set root group is the name. And again, that's the internal API, so that's changing right now. Frame buffer display. So this is the definition for the Python layer show function. This now internally calls set root group from core, because just like I just mentioned a few times, core no longer has show, it only has set root group, but the Python layer still is show. Just what happens inside when the user code calls the Python function show. And then this is inside frame buffer display, and it's the set root group definition, which we do need. And this just calls into core. Set root group does the check for OK, raising the error. All of that stuff looks pretty good to me. The only other thing I could think that might want to change is that empty if statement, but I don't know, and I don't think I'm the one to make the call if this is worthwhile or not. It adds a bit of clarity, but it's obviously non-functional, so is the clarity worth the code size? I'm not sure. Or is the clarity actually, like, does the clarity actually exist? In my mind, it adds clarity. Maybe it's not actually true that it does. Maybe it just doesn't need to be there altogether. Got rid of is null. We got rid of that empty line. Those are our changes for now. We're still not going to commit our config. Probably run pre-commit. Probably should have run pre-commit. Okay. Ooh, this one does show that it failed. I wonder why it failed. Is our new one gonna fail too? Recommit failed. Why does my pre-commit pass locally? Formatting. Base. Surely it will fail this time too, right? Where's this? This is inside of, this is where we changed it in fill area. Inside core. Yeah. Hmm. Why is my local formatting different? How does EC formatting work? Not like Clang or something? I mean, it is gonna fail again for sure. I guess I can just go change it, but like, I'd like to get my local one to do the same thing. How do we find out more specifically what pre-commit is doing when it runs all those different things? Tools code format.py. Uncrustify. I mean, I have the same thing, do I not? Uncrustify? Is that a thing that gets installed? Uncrustify here. It's black. Uncrustify version. .2.0-F. Maybe we have a different version. How do we find out what version that would be, though? Do you know what Uncrustify is? That a Python thing or an apt install? I don't know how it got that. Just for a second first, let's go get grep stuff. So that means it's not in like requirements or anything like that. I don't know how. How would we know what version the actions thing has? Installed 072. Sudo apt install uncrustify AMI universe uncrustify 072. If SG1-2 SG1-2. That's a bummer. Why can I not, how do I get it to give me the same output? Not give me the same output. Do I let it run and fail? I mean, it's gonna fail again, I presume. How do you run uncrustify on a file? Big file. Suffix. Doesn't seem like it made any changes. Yeah. Well, guess we will fix it, but I wish my local one would do the same thing. Wait. No, add. Hopefully the one that was waiting will get canceled. Hopefully this one will pass. Okay, I think that's probably going to do it for now. Honestly, I got farther than I thought I would. Truthfully, I didn't know that we would get it all the way nailed down, but mostly I just wanted to take a look and see if we got anything interesting coming through this debug pin. It turns out we did. We got a backtrace, which we were able to use the parsing script to figure out the actual lines of code. From those lines of code, we were able to figure out where the most probable place causing it to crash was, or like right before it crashed, the most probable place that it was, I should say. And from there, kind of make a guess at why it was crashing. Turns out our guess was right. We chased it up a bit, up the chain a bit, added an if statement, so that we don't do it when it's null now, and we no longer crash. So we got that resolved, and I think that this PR is probably ready for review again. I think everything that's been mentioned in here has been done now. The last bit was the none stuff, setting root group to none, causing it to show nothing. That's now working. It does show nothing. It's not causing the hard fault or any other issues. I think everything is good. There's maybe room for a bit more testing. Honestly, an automated test would be kind of nice. I don't know where you would put that exactly, but it'd be nice to have a CodePy that runs through and does all these scenarios. Essentially, the CodePy I'm using, we could maybe add a few more things to it. But it'd be nice also to like assert that it is actually none after you set it to none, and that it is actually not none when you set it to a thing. Some stuff like that would probably still be good to do. Maybe checking the in-group property, make sure that's getting managed and set to true and false correctly. That kind of stuff would probably be a good thing to do inside of an automated test. Really pending that kind of stuff though, which I look at as kind of extra. Truthfully, I look at that as kind of stretch goal. Not really the actual change is not really reliant on that stuff, although it may be nice to have. I don't know of anything else that's kind of in need of being done, so I think we're pretty good there. What I'll do is keep an eye on this, see if it passes the actions or not. If it does, then I'll leave a comment just updating it to the latest situation, you know, that our newest commits resolve the issue with none and everything is good to go, we think, and ready for review again. So I'll add that as long as it's passing, but it's kind of where we're at. Thanks for watching, anybody who is watching. I will see you probably next time. I'm thinking probably be back at some point tomorrow for Monday. I'll definitely be working on CircuitPython stuff, so may pop on the stream. And I think there's stuff back on the pixel map PR to look into. I saw we got comments yesterday from Jeff and Mark. I have not looked into those yet, so probably I'll be working on that stuff tomorrow, pixel map stuff. Appreciate today's stream. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the heads up. Hope you have a nice evening, nice day, Enjoy the rest of your weekend, all that stuff. See Grover. So catch you all next time. Appreciate it.